going to introduce our first speaker. Ben is a client of ours, and he's going to share some interesting insights on the best and the worst of the social media campaigns. Really looking forward to this. Ben's a great speaker, and I do like the epic win, not the epic fail. Ben.
Thanks, Alistair.
Cheers, thank you.
Before we start, I've got a little experiment. I was talking to Sarah about this earlier. What I'd like to do is just hand around this camera. If you just pass it around, take pictures of anything you like. It can be me, it could be the posters here, it could be Alistair, it could be each other. And what we'll do, if we come up with any interesting photos, we'll compile them and post them to social media as like a follow-up to this event. So perhaps I can start with you, Mike. One of those old-fashioned ones, you just press the button on the top.
Just press the button?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm Ben, and I'm going to share with you the, some of the best and worst campaigns that I've come across. Hopefully to give you some ideas and inspiration in your marketing. So a little bit about me first. I work for a company called Rather Inventive. I'm the marketing coach there. So that means I help people market their business online. I'm kind of a master of everything, but I bring in expertise when we need on certain areas. It could be in Google Analytics, or there's a new FaceTime Live where you can actually broadcast events like this live. And if there's anything specific, then we can dive into it. Otherwise, I help and work with businesses to manage that strategy ongoing. It's my Twitter profile. So what is an epic win? Is it something like this? Clever photography? A clever viral internet meme, the Nyan cat? I've deliberately taken the audio off this because it's really annoying, but if you want to search for it online, it's quite fun. Or is it about great ideas that encourage discussion, dialogue, and conversation between people, just like this one? There's the answer. 50 Shades of Nate. This was a caption competition for one of our clients, and someone came up with that clever title. So I'm going to take you through just a few different campaigns. They aren't just focused on social media, because I believe really good marketing isn't just about social media. It's about looking at the broad spectrum of the different ways we can communicate with people. This is the first one, Make My Persona. It's focused on a company called HubSpot. They make marketing software. Has anyone heard of this company? Yeah, a few of you. So you know what sort of thing they do. What they had here is they introduced me to this persona maker via a LinkedIn email that came through. Now, this is interesting. This was posted on a LinkedIn group, which then came through to me in a sort of weekly digest email. So I actually used a mixture of different formats there. We had social media, then kicking through to email as a reminder. So that triggered for me. Here's the persona maker. Does anyone have an idea what a persona is? Just briefly. It's a way of distilling your customer down into some essential components to help you communicate with them better, recognise them when they come on your website, or maybe face-to-face. And you can go into lots of detail about who they might be. But the way I think about it is to look at your best customers, the ones who pay well, the ones you like, the ones who offer you tea and biscuits when you meet them. Think about those, and then boil down what makes them similar. And it might be that you can't just get one persona, you might actually have to have a few. So this is a bit of software online where it runs through a series of different questions to help define who they are. And making personas can be hard, boring, and so this makes it a little bit more fun and a bit easier. So here's the result. I answered lots of questions and came up with this. It's a bespoke persona profile, and actually, being diligent as they are, HubSpot, within 2 days, I got Brian from sales contacting me to find out how well the persona fitted my business for me. So it's quite a nice way that they use social media, going through to an email digest from LinkedIn. I go onto the web, and then I'm followed up with a phone call. I was quite interested in this process, and actually this is what kick-started this whole Epic Win talk. So I spoke to Lisa Toner from HubSpot, who orchestrated the campaign and managed it for them. I sent her a video on Twitter, and she sent me this reply, which hopefully you can hear. That you love the technology well. Okay, I'm just going to play it from my Mac directly.
As far as the channels that performed well for it, we actually found that email is still a really strong performer and has driven most of the traffic to the tool, closely followed by our blog, And on social networks, LinkedIn was the strongest performer, followed by Twitter. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'd be happy to help. Cheers.
No, thanks, Lisa. That was great. Did you get that? Did you hear it? It wasn't very clear. Basically, what she said was that email actually was the top performer in getting people to do something, in getting them to go onto their website and actually fill out a form. And then it was LinkedIn. So social media in this case wasn't quite as strong. Email actually had a good pull. But they did use social media for is to get the message out there and get people to interact with them. What they did find with this method of coming up with an idea of generating a tool for people rather than just people going and signing up for their software demo is that this method gave more meaningful conversations for their sales team because they weren't talking about selling and pitching a product. They're actually talking about helping a company, and off the back of that we've got some software that can help you. So it's quite a nice process. So this is another campaign from the Gloucestershire Deaf Association, and I saw this video. This was forwarded to me or mentioned by Cotswold Concierge, which is a local sort of, I guess you call a marketing advertising company around where we are. So that actually came through on an email. That's how I noticed it. I didn't see the Twitter feed. I guess they posted it and it just disappeared off. So this came through and I saw it. I thought it was so funny. I wanted to dive in and find out how they got to doing this video and where the idea came from. By the way, Glos Deaf had about 1,400 followers this went out to. So this is a series of 5 videos, and I'll just set out the background because I'm going to show you a little clip. This guy here is meant to be an interpreter, and this is the deaf client who's come into the bank.
No! I'm signing it. I'm the signer, okay? She is saying you are over. You're over. You're over. Draft. Oh, for God's sake. Overdraft. He's saying something about his dinner. I don't know, there's no dinner here. It's about banking.
It goes on like that. It's quite funny. It's a slow start, actually, but when it gets to this bit, it had me in hysterics. The first view, this was the first video. This had about 3,800 views. The next video they had, because it was a series of 5, went down to about 1,000 views, and then it was about 400 after that. So the first one made the biggest impact, and then it tailed off, which is fine. It's good, it got people engaged. So these are guys, so just to introduce them, this is Reg, he's profoundly deaf and he is a registered sign language interpreter, I think is the right phrase. They actually had this funded by Lloyds, they had a competition and Lloyds funded the series of 5 videos. And they promoted it via Twitter, they had 700 retweets, 200 mentions, and the website usage for that period of time, where they're running the campaign, which is over a couple of weeks, went up by 25%, which they were interesting statistics, but they're not necessarily tangible. What came out of it that was quite tangible for them was that the NHS, some senior people in the NHS got in contact and wanted them to come and present at some of their deaf awareness groups that they had around the country. So from their point of view, in gaining more business, they had an opportunity to get in front of a lot more people. They also found that with their videos, and they've done quite a few videos because they do a weekly video newsletter, is that when they inject humour, that's when more people watch and they get more views. So this is Astute Graphics. They make graphics and plugins for Illustrator. Has anyone heard of Illustrator? Yeah, it's like the brother or sister to Photoshop. So it allows you to do very cool illustrations and get into a lot of detail. They make plugins that allow you to take that a lot further. So they ran a campaign where they wanted to get feedback from their customers. They were running a survey. I'm sure you know surveys can be quite boring and we don't know what's in it for us. And then when you do decide to click on it, you get a very long, boring survey that's actually, and you can see down the bottom, it's 10 pages or so of these huge amount of questions, and you don't know whether it's worthwhile for you. Now, they've got a very creative and professional audience, so they needed to keep the language interesting and funny and friendly. They promoted it via social media, which had a great response initially, but then it tailed off very quickly. As you can imagine, they post it on there and it just disappears off the timeline. Here's a follow-up, which I thought was quite nice. Rather than just reposting the same thing, saying, please, can you fill out our survey, they actually took the time to investigate some of the responses, write a blog about it, about how they're incorporating that within their business, and then tweet that. And I like this because it shows that people are actually engaging with the survey, and that if you want to engage with it, you know other people have done it too. It's not like a dead horse that you're going to get on. They also followed it up with this email, which I think came a week later, which I thought was quite funny. This is the owner of the business, behaving like a tramp, asking for help. They're a creative audience, you've got to do something interesting. The email went out to about 40,000 people. And in terms of conversion, I think they had about 2% response rate in people filling out a survey, which I think is really good because there was nothing in it. There was no prize for anyone who entered. This was really just helping out the company. So 2% response rate from that. And I think it was lower overall for their social media, but broadly on email it's 2%, which I think is pretty good. So wrapping up this section of good things, epic wins on social media, I came across this campaign, 805 million names. And it's from the World Food Organization, and it's about a footballer called, let me get the name right, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Does anyone know him? Is he a famous footballer? I don't know.
Yeah, he is.
He looks like a footballer. So basically, you probably know then, he's got a lot of tattoos over his body, and each of those names represents someone who is basically hungry throughout the world. It's not 805 million, but he's got a lot of names on there, and they're all real people. It's an important message. I'm just going to play a little bit. It might be too quiet on here, but I'll just leave it for a minute and see what comes up.
My name is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Wherever I go, people recognize me. Call my name. Cheer for me. But there are names no one cheers for. Carmen.
I won't go into all of it. You can look it up online. It's just 805 million names, and I'm sure you can spell that better than I can remember it. So just looking at the stats on YouTube when it was more easily able to do that, you can see that we had quite a sharp ramp up here as the amount of people shared it, and they obviously posted it out to the various people they have on their lists, and it was shared quite wildly. As we can see here, a lot of shares, a lot of views. And then it had quite a slow ramp down here, as that initial surge, just like on the Gloss Death videos, you had quite a lot of people, but still quite a lot of people sharing it because, for me, I think it appeals to something within us. It's true, it's honest, it's real, it's something that's quite genuine. Now, in contrast, there's this campaign from Loctite. Now, I've got mixed feelings about the campaign. It grabbed me at first, but actually didn't really speak to me. It reinforced a brand which I knew, but really didn't quite get where they were going with this video. So I'm just going to play it and see what you think. It goes on there, just more people dancing in a weird way. I can see why they put that in the video. It might be funny, it's a bit awkward, and I think some people like that sort of humour. But looking at the stats, it didn't have as many shares or views, which you can imagine it maybe doesn't appeal to the same human emotions that the other one did, but it really had a short drop off there, when a lot of people weren't so interested in this video. They weren't sharing it as much as the 805 million names one. So maybe there's something that appealing to our inner nature rather than just something that's fleeting and maybe momentarily funny. So it's worth investing that time in finding something that's interesting. So going on to a few epic fails. There's this one here you might have heard about if you've been to other social media conferences before. This is from McDonald's. They were trying to get interesting stories from an engaged audience and sharing their experiences. But obviously, if you're all aware, people had to post their story with this hashtag. And as you're aware, anyone can use that hashtag online. They can put whatever message they like and put the hashtag on there. And then anyone following that hashtag will be able to see this pop up in the timeline. So obviously, there are some people who don't like McDonald's and have maybe taken issue with the way they work and how childhood obesity isn't so great. So they learned from this that they can't actually control social media. They can't control this message. And I think a lot of businesses do this. They think they can go out to social media, they think they've got a very strong brand, which a lot of people like, but then they forget about there's a lot of negativity out there. And social media is very good at whipping up a storm about very small details. So you've got to be very careful about what you put out there. Or at least put out there, if you're honest and open, you're going to get less comeback like this, or less negativity at least. Oh, how did that picture get on there? I know what you're thinking though. It's the beard, isn't it? It just doesn't work with the pink hair. This was from Tesco. This is something their social media team put out. It happened apparently just before the horse meat scandal of 2013. Makes sense now. Right? Apparently they'd scheduled it before that came out. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it just goes to show they probably didn't mean anything by it. But it just goes to show you how careful you can be. And again, like I said earlier, people can pick on the smallest things and they might blow them out of proportion. This could get lost in social media, but it can also get picked up. It went out to about 47,000 of their followers, which is quite a few. This one here is Sam Smith. You might know this guy. He did the intro music for the latest James Bond film, which I actually quite like, although I'm not sure about his music. That's enough of that. So basically, he posted just after a concert that he couldn't come out. This was on Facebook. He couldn't meet everyone. He was very tired. He didn't feel very well. So he posted this message. And then just 4 hours later, he posted this message on Facebook to all his fans. Got to be careful about that. I mean, this is the sort of thing we might do on our own personal Facebook, but I mean, he's a brand. You know, he's working with. He's got lots of customers, people buying his music. They weren't particularly happy with this one, so you've got to be careful. Speaking of epic fails, should we have a caption competition of our own? Maybe not, might get a bit rude. So just to wrap up, just a few three key things that I think will help you have more chance of an epic win on social media, or in fact any marketing that you do, is just help others first. A lot of people ask, what do I say on social media? What do I say in my marketing? What do I do? And I think in some ways there's too many people saying things on social media. There are too many people talking about themselves. And I think if you do this first, if you can help other people, if you can promote an event, if you can share something interesting that someone else has done, I think that, one, you'll get some conversation going, you'll be helping other people, so hopefully there's some credit in the bank later when you need help. Be yourself. Just like going back to everything else, I think the campaigns that work best are the ones that are honest to the company or the person dealing with it. I think the moment you're not honest, which you can do, it just becomes a lot harder to convince people. Basically, because you're a lot more transparent. So just being honest and open about your business values and personal values if it's a personal brand. And obviously, if anything online, wherever it is, I think it's got to be interesting. There's no point just chucking out the same stuff all the time. I think you have to think about something that is interesting and will appeal to your persona, the people that you're trying to market to. That's it. It's quite a short presentation. Hopefully, we fitted the time slot. If you're interested in anything, please follow me online at Becketts, or you can visit our website, or if you're really interested, you can download this amazing book I wrote with Helen Holder. Thank you very much.